Today, we're thrilled to be joined by Emery Ellinger, CEO of Aberdeen Advisors. Emery, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Rob. Glad to be here.
So, Emery, tell us a little bit about Aberdeen.
Aberdeen Advisors is a group of former business owners who we are helping other business owners sell their business. So we've all been through that process of selling a business, and now we're helping other business owners that want that help to maximize, the value of their company. So that's what we do. We're based here in the Tampa Bay area.
Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you come to starting the company?
Yeah, great question. I got out of college, financial services, realized I was an entrepreneur, built 3 companies over a 13-year period, had a couple hundred employees, and didn't want to have a couple hundred employees. It was, the business was successful, but it was more than I bargained for. So I ended up selling my companies at a fairly young age, in my 30s, and stayed on, and we acquired 4 businesses. And that's when I was like, hey, that would be really cool to help people buy and sell companies. So ever since then, that's what I've been doing.
Now, I would imagine in your business, give us a sense. How many companies do you represent at any given time?
We typically will sell between 10 and 20 companies a year. So we'll represent more than that, but we get the majority of those done. We're in multiple stages with multiple different businesses of onboarding them to due diligence to getting them closed. But, in a given year, this year is a little bit slower given the capital markets. But, again, 10 to 20 is about what we represent a year and get closed.
Obviously, there's a process in selling a company, which takes time. I would also imagine that a big part of your business is interacting with companies that are looking to sell in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? And that number is probably far bigger than 10 to 20x. What are some of the things you do to identify and nurture those businesses?
Typically, they will raise their hand through a CPA, a wealth manager, a partner like you all, somebody, and say, hey, you should talk to Aberdeen. We talk to them. They want to get, hey, what do I need to do to maximize my sales? When I want to sell this business 10, 20 years down the road. And then we look at their business and help them with getting their financials in order, their management team in order, customer diversification strategies. So yeah, that's a long process. We typically stay in touch by keeping them on an educational newsletter, which helps them think about the different aspects of their business and what a buyer is going to value and not value. So that's the way we do it.
If you look at, I'd say the environment here in 2023, looking into 2024, are there any trends that you've seen, I guess, really either on the buying side or on the selling side? Are there any trends in terms of where valuations are going up or down? Are there things that buyers are looking for that might be surprising, that are different? Any trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, big trend. I just was reading an article about 2023 versus 2022 and 2021, and earnouts are, I think it said, up 67% over the year before. Earnouts, every one of our clients comes in and says, we want all cash. Everybody wants all cash for their business. But for many different reasons, buyers don't necessarily want to give them all cash. And so that trend is significantly up this year. A lot of it has to do with the lending market. The debt market is very tough right now. So it's tough to get a big loan to buy a business, and therefore the buyers are asking our clients, the sellers, to do an earn out or to do seller financing. That and valuation shrinking have been the 2 biggest trends in like the last 12 to 18 months.
Gotcha. So with respect to both of those, so the earnouts, is that more of a tactic for seller financing, or is it more concern about the growth of the company, of the selling company going forward?
Yeah, that I'm glad you kind of followed up because I kind of merged a couple topics there. An earnout is based on some performance of the company going forward. So it doesn't matter if it's a good market or a bad market, there's usually a gap between the buyer and seller on valuation. Well, in a market like this, it's tough to get bank financing and there's uncertainty in the economy. If you're a buyer, how do you bridge that valuation gap? And if you're a seller, how do you get more money for your business if you think it will continue to grow? One way to do that is with an earnout. So you'll get more money if it grows in 2024, 2025. And so the buyer and seller come to an agreement which gives them more value if the company performs. And what a buyer will typically say is, I want to pay you fairly. I don't want to overpay you. But if your company does well, I don't want to underpay you. Now, everybody's not like that, but I think that's kind of a fairness principle that we see in a lot of the negotiations.
So it's there to bridge the valuation gap, but also given what you said earlier about the difficulty of getting financing, it also seems like it's a way of seller financing in a way.
Yeah. True seller financing is
Sure.
You get a note, you get 80% cash and 20% in a seller note with interest, and you get paid over a few years. And that's more guaranteed. Whereas the earnout is 100% based on some performance.
Gotcha. Thanks for clarifying that. And are there any trends in terms of who are buying? Well, actually, let's take a step back, Emery. Tell us just a little bit about the size of the companies that you're representing, because that'll help with the next question.
Yeah. So we are selling the companies that Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are not going to sell, which is basically about 98% of the companies in America. So we're not selling Facebooks and Uber type companies. So we're selling the companies under that. They're typically 5 million in revenue to upwards of a couple $100 million in revenue. They're all profitable. So we're not doing distressed deals, and all different types of industries. Our clients are based in the Southeast United States, but our buyers are global. Most of them are going to be in the US, but for certain companies, we'll reach out globally to the buyers.
So that leads to my next question, which is, are you seeing any shifts in who the buyers are? Are they strategic companies that just want to expand market share? Is it private equity? Is it management led? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I would say more and more over the last few years has gone more private equity, but it could be a strategic that is owned by a private equity company. So we see that a lot because they've got the capital to go out and then acquire those businesses. Most of our clients don't really they get kind of confused of what private equity is, but basically it's a fund to buy private companies. So they're not buying public companies, they're buying private companies. That's why it's called a private equity fund. And so they're finance people, and they really care about the financials, and they're trying to get a return for their investors. But they have, $6 trillion. Yes, Rob, I said trillion.
With a T, right?
Yeah, with a T, a big T. And they're coming to Tampa here in about 2 weeks. And we'll have 800 people, and there will be billions and billions and billions of dollars of cash that they're looking to find companies to buy.
Gotcha. Which now leads me to my next question, which is, let's look at, business owners in general. We know we have a lot of baby boomers that are likely to exit. That's been talked for a number of years now, right? In the next few years, and then maybe even some Gen Xers. So if you're a business owner and you're thinking about selling in a few years, what are the top 3-ish things that you should be thinking about and doing now?
The first and foremost would be getting your financials in great order. And our business owners think they have them in good order, and they find out that they're really not. So they have to be on what's called GAAP accounting, true accrual GAAP accounting. And I can go over just hundreds of examples, but our sellers think everything's fine and they're really not in good financial order. So that would be top of the list, number one. Number two is I'd have the management team. A lot of times the business owners, it's, two physicians, husband and wife, and they're 68 years old and they both want to retire. And they're like, oh, the new buyer can take it from here. Well, if you're two surgeons and y'all are 100% of the business and you think you're going to walk out, you're not going to get very much for your business. Same on the other side, it could be a manufacturing company or whatever. So building that chief financial officer, the general manager, it depends on what kind of business you have, but building that management team would be number two. And number three, having a recurring revenue or repeat revenue stream. That would be, a lot of clients are contractors and they have project work, or they're an ad agency and they have project work, and the buyer will come in and look at it and go, that's great, you made a lot of revenue, you made a lot of money, but these are kind of one and done projects. Versus, let's give the flip side of that, the pest control company, that they have thousands of clients and every month they're coming in and spraying for bugs. It is just like clockwork, that the revenue and profits of a business like that. So pest control gets very high value multiples. The project works get very, very low multiples. So it's a big differentiator. So that would be number three.
Gotcha. Regarding that last one, recurring revenue, have you, and I'm not going to ask you for examples because that would be putting you on the spot. There's probably a lot of prep you'd want to do with that. But are you seeing a trend with companies that don't have recurring revenue, understanding what you're talking about and saying, you know what, I need to find ways to build recurring revenue in my business? Are you seeing that, or is it, you have companies that are in this industry that do it, and companies that are this industry that they just don't get there?
I've seen a couple of examples of that, but most of the time, as a matter of fact, one of your questions earlier, we had a young group. We sold the largest commercial lawn care company in Tampa to the largest commercial lawn care company in the nation. It was $1 billion company. And they said that they would pay $0 for the design build side of the business, kind of more the new construction for landscaping. But the recurring revenue, the maintenance, where they come in and cut the grass, do the trees, do the mulch, they would pay a pretty high multiple for that. So we sold the business. It was on the front page of the Tampa Bay Times. We got some young guys in their 20s that called me and said, hey, we'd like to pick your brain, go to lunch. What would you like to know? We want to know what it is going to take for us to sell our business for $10 million. And I told them to focus on that recurring maintenance side and recurring revenue. And they did that, and they built a really, really nice business. But I would say those are fewer and farther between. A lot of companies, like the private equity groups, will come in, they will buy a new construction, new lawn care, construction company, and they'll add that service side. They do it in HVAC, plumbing, so it applies to a lot of different industries, so that they are the ones that are coming in and building that recurring revenue, because they know when they go and sell it, they can sell it for a significant premium over what they bought it for.
Really powerful. I just want to point out to everybody. So in a situation like that, the multiple is relatively low if there is no recurring revenue.
Correct.
The private equity company or whoever the buyer is able to come in, create that recurring revenue, and probably the multiple goes up big time. So either you can develop the recurring revenue stream on your own and get the benefit of it, of that recurring revenue, and get the benefit of that multiple increase, or you sell it for what somebody will pay, a relatively low multiple, and then somebody else, the buyer, will get all of the benefits from that recurring revenue. It's very powerful. I got to imagine that makes a huge difference in the selling price.
Yeah, just this is a real example. I won't give you the name, but private equity group bought a company at 3 times EBITDA, 3 times the cash flow. They sold it at 10 times EBITDA by changing it from a project new construction to a recurring service and repair. They did a lot of other things like bring in a CFO and grow the revenue, but 3.5 just on the multiple.
So 3x the price, basically. That's pretty powerful. Emery, I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
I know you've had a WBN remote professional, Bianca, working for you, I think, for the past 10 months or so.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how that's going and what Bianca does for you.
Gosh, you would think you're paying me to say this, but it has been, because she started as my executive assistant. So that's how she began. I would say a month and a half ago, we had promoted her, or have promoted her, to our operations manager. So she's made a significant jump in title, and because there was almost nothing I could throw at her that she didn't figure. She would figure stuff out. If she didn't know it, she would Google it or ask people. I don't know how she figures it out, but she always figures it out. It doesn't matter if it's the Calendly software, there are all kinds of new things that we have implemented because she is there. And, chat on our website. She helped implement that with our website developer. Calendly, we're just implementing, and she's figuring out all the tricks on that. So there's a lot of software, and then Excel, PowerPoint, sort of the basics she already knew and has gotten certainly more proficient at it. So she's been able to just take a lot off of my plate and our president's plate. And she's really helped our whole team because she was able to get so much work done so quickly. We were like, well, how can we keep her busy, because she'll get bored, and we don't want her bored. We want her excited to come into work every day. So now she's helping our entire team.
Helping you and your president and the rest of the team, what has that enabled you and your president and the rest of the team to do?
Just our company is so much better than it was 10 months ago. I tell Bianca, every time you do something, write a system for it. So I asked her the other day, I go, Bianca, because it seems like she's written a million systems. I said, how many systems has she wrote? She goes, I'll have to look it up and let you know. I've written 36. I was like, God, you've written more than 36. Well, some of these systems have, 20 systems under the main system. So she thought about it later. It's like, you're right. There are a lot of systems. So that is just one example of just systematizing our company, which makes it more scalable, more efficient, not having the same mistake happen twice. So it's helped us in so many regards.
And has it freed up your time, and or has having her maybe done something like improve the client experience, anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's certainly helped me and the president and others on our team, because she's taking a lot of stuff off our plate. So it's definitely helping us, and just something simple. And I was saying this to our president before we were talking. I said, just having her, copying her, and she sends out the calendar invite to our team or to our client. She sends the Zoom info. We have a client come into the office. She's got a system where the morning of, she sends directions to, that person. So you're coming to our office, you're going to get directions before you drive. She sets up the conference room, and that is just a system. I don't have to tell her every time. It is, she does it automatically, and it's fantastic. For our clients, not only do they get that professionalism if they're coming to our office and get the calendar invites, but I would say we'll have her take notes from meetings or do presentations that we might not have done because we didn't have all the time to do that. So there's definitely an added level of professionalism and service we're able to offer.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Hearing that just makes our day, because that's what we're here to do. And it's great to hear how it's working in reality. Emery, what do you like to do when you're not working?
I like to boat. I like to golf. I like to play squash. I love to travel. I love to read. I love to do a lot of things.
Gotcha. And where can people find out more about you and Aberdeen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. The easiest way is our website, aberdeenadvisors.com, ABERDEEN advisors.com. And we would be happy to talk to any business owners that are interested in finding out more about how they can make their company more valuable. And obviously, if they're interested in selling all or part of their company, we'd love to chat with them about that as well.
Sounds good. Emery, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. And I want to also thank our community for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.